Medicinal herb growing, cultivating, and drying popular herbs like Echinacea, Calendula, or St. John's wort. A step-by-step manual on how to grow and dry medicinal herbs, The Apothecary Garden. Growing your own medicinal plants provides a profound sense of connection with nature while also guaranteeing a clean organic supply for your home pharmacy. Patience and focus are necessary throughout the journey from seed to shelf, but the benefits are limitless in terms of both taste and medicinal benefits. The key procedures for successfully growing and drying well-known herbs such as Echinacea, Calendula, and St. John's wort will be covered in this manual. Phase 1, cultivation, making the plants alive. Careful cultivation is the cornerstone of high-quality herbal medicine. Although every herb has its own demands, there are some fundamental ideas that are applicable to all. Step 1, selecting your herbs and designing the garden. Choose the sections of the plant you want to harvest before you start digging. This will determine your planting plan. For our well-known herbs, coneflower, echinacea, the root is the most potent component, but the plant needs to mature for 2 to 4 years before harvesting. Although the flowers and leaves are utilized as well, the root is the best part. Calendula, pot marigold. The main medicinal component is the flower head. This plant is a prolific annual or short-lived perennial. St. John's wort, at the height of flowering, the blooming tops, the top third of the plant, which contains the flowers and buds, are harvested. Make a map of your garden based on these needs. Annual calendula may be rotated, while perennials such Echinacea and St. John's wort require a permanent location. Step 2, soil preparation and seeding. Most therapeutic plants thrive in well-draining soil and dislike being in water since it can cause root rot and fungal infections. To make sure your soil has a solid structure and is nutrient-rich, amend it with compost. In general, a pH between 6.0 and 7.5 is considered optimal, which is somewhat acidic to neutral. Sunlight, although St. John's wort can tolerate some shade, particularly in warmer regions, all three grow best in direct sunlight. 6+ hours a day. Beginning. For optimal germination, Echinacea needs cold stratification, a period of cold, wet rest. Pre-treat the seeds in the refrigerator or plant them outside in the late fall or early spring. It thrives best when planted directly where it will grow because of its long taproot. Calendula is one of the simplest. Plant the large seeds directly in the ground in the spring, or even in the fall for an early spring bloom. They germinate quickly and frequently self-seed annually. Although they also benefit from cold, St. John's wort seeds are frequently grown from cuttings or transplants. Plant in the early spring or fall. Step 3, upkeep and watering, particularly after the herbs are planted. Water them sparingly but thoroughly. Let the soil dry a bit in between waterings. The greatest threat to newly planted medicinal herbs is excessive watering. Weeding. Maintain a weed-free environment around young plants in order to avoid competition for nutrients. The dense growth of herbs like St. John's wort will aid in weed control once it has been established. Fertilization. In general, medicinal plants do not need a lot of food. Excess nitrogen can cause excessive leafy growth that comes at the cost of therapeutic value. In the spring, a light coating of compost is usually all that's needed. Pests. Maintaining proper airflow is essential for avoiding fungal problems. Use neem oil or a moderate insecticidal soap solution to treat any pests that show up. Phase 2 and 2. Collecting for maximum strength. The timing of the harvest is critical since the concentration of therapeutic ingredients, essential oils, alkaloids, glycosides, varies throughout the day and year. Step 4, harvesting at the ideal moment. The best day, only harvest on a sunny, dry morning when the dew has dried, but before the midday heat. The plant's essential oil content is usually at its peak at this point. As excess moisture increases the risk of mold during drying, refrain from harvesting right after rain or significant watering. When to harvest? Echinacea, pick flowers when they are blooming and leaves stems before the plant is covered with blooms. When the plant's energy has returned to the root system in late fall, after the first severe frost of the second, third, or fourth year, harvest the roots. Calendula. When the flower heads are fully open and colorful, harvest them. To encourage continuous blooming, harvest daily or every other day throughout the summer. St. John's wort only harvests the blooming tops, about the top third of the stem, including the leaves, buds, and flowers, when the plant is at its best, which is typically in late June. Step 5, preparation and cleaning. Gently wash the plant matter right after harvesting. Rinse to eliminate dirt. Gently rinse new roots, Echinacea, under cool flowing water. Avoid washing fragile blooms and leaves, Calendula St. John's wort, if at all possible, or use a soft brush or shake to remove any debris, as it might harm the fragile petals and introduce too much moisture. Only wash flowers if it's absolutely necessary. Chop. To promote uniform and thorough drying, roots should be cut or sliced into thin, consistent pieces, approximately the size of a coin. Usually, leaves and flowers are dried in their entirety. Phase 3, storage and drying, sealing the medication. The purpose of drying is to completely and swiftly eliminate moisture while maintaining the herb's color, aroma, and therapeutic properties. The foes of potency are heat and sunshine. Step 6, the drying setting. A good drying location needs to be deep, warm. Ideally between 70 degrees Fahrenheit and 100 degrees Fahrenheit, or 21 degrees Celsius and 38 degrees Celsius, but not excessively hot. Dark, the color is bleached by sunlight and the active ingredients are broken down. Dry, a low humidity level is necessary to keep mold at bay. Well ventilated, the herbs are dried more effectively by the movement of air. If they fulfill these requirements, a kitchen pantry, dry attic, or specialized drying shed are all excellent places. Step 7, the approach to drying. Depending on the plant component, you may choose from a variety of drying methods. I am air drying, hanging, ideal for strong leafy herbs and St. John's wort. Tie together loose bundles of stems, no more than 4 or 6 sprigs. In your prepared environment, hang the bundles upside down to dry. The best way to dry flowers, calendula, and chopped roots, echinacea, is by spreading them out on a screen. The plant material should be arranged on a cheesecloth stretched over a frame, a baking rack, or a drying screen in a single thin layer. Make sure there is sufficient airflow underneath, because large calendula blossoms retain moisture. You may need to inspect them every day and make sure the centers are thoroughly dried. Dehydrator. Dehydrators work well and swiftly, especially for roots, echinacea, and thick leaves. Keep the temperature between 95 degrees and 105 degrees, 35 degrees and 40 degrees, which is the lowest setting possible, and check it often. Step 8, verify that the surface is completely dry. This step cannot be bargained over. The herb will mold in storage unless it is totally dry. Flowers, leaves, they shouldn't bend or feel soft. Instead, they should be crisp and break cleanly when bent. Roots, avoid selecting sliced pieces that are soft or flexible. Instead, choose those that are firm and break when bent. The time it takes for air drying might be anywhere between 2 and 4 weeks, whereas dehydrators can dry in 3 days. Give an herb a few more days if it feels almost dry. Step 9, labeling and storage. When the herb is thoroughly dried, the therapeutic ingredients are stable and it's time to put it away. Container, keep dried herbs whole or gently crushed, not powdered, in airtight glass containers. Mason jars are ideal. With plastic, chemicals and odors can be absorbed, but glass prevents this. Location, keep the sealed containers in a cool, dark area away from heat, moisture, and direct sunlight. A pantry or cabinet is ideal. Labeling, always include the date of the harvest and the name of the herb in the labeling. If stored correctly, the strength may be maintained for at least a year and frequently for 2 or more years. By adhering to these 9 steps, you may be certain that your homegrown medicinal herbs are organically grown, harvested at their peak, and properly preserved for usage in your home cures for a long period of time. Would you be interested in learning more about the traditional medicinal applications or well-liked medicinal formulations for calendula, echinacea, and St. John's wort? Please feel free to post comments.